Boker Tov. One Pasuk in Mishlei today, but a very good one. Well, they're all good, but so Perek Yudbet Pasuk Tetvav. Derech Evil Yashar Be'enav. The way of the fool is straight in his eyes. Everything's straight in the fool's eyes. V'shomea le'etza chacham. But one that listens to advice, he is the wise one. Says the Gaon of Vilna, an evil is a fool, and he is mivuhal. Mivuhal is called like all over the place, and she'oleh al libo yashar be'enav. Whatever comes on his heart, he does right away, and he thinks that's straight. And eno shomea le'etzah, he doesn't listen to advice. That is the definition of a fool. But he says a chacham. The definition of a chacham is someone that listens to advice, and he doesn't do things until he asks. He doesn't even rely on himself because he's worried. Maybe his own self. Maybe he's biased. Maybe he's doing this decision and he's really biased. Maybe I should. And therefore, he always asks. And that's the definition, as we say all the time, of Talmid Chacham. Always learning. Always being a student. And also, the Gaon of Vilna points out in the Pasuk, it says that the way of the fool is straight in his eyes. And for the Chacham, the one that listens to Etzah is a Chacham. So for the fool, it's his eyes, and the Chacham, it's his ears. Shomea le'etzah. So, he says, number one, is this also connects to Torah shebichtav and Torah sheba'al peh. The written Torah is with our eyes. It's written. I see it with my eyes. The Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral Torah, was I needed to use my ears to listen to my past generations. This rabbi taught that rabbi, so I need to listen. I need to learn, and therefore we need to use our ears for Torah Sheba'al Peh. So this also has to do with, he brings a Kabbalistic concept of like male and female. Male in general is the giver, and female is the receiver. So the eye is a giver. Eye always sees. It doesn't take in. An ear is a receiver. An ear always gets inside. Right? A mouth is both, right? It receives and it also gives out. So he says that even though in general we want to be givers, we want people that are givers with tzedakah, giving of our time, etc. But here when it comes to learning, when it comes to advice, when it comes to guidance, you want better to be on the receiving end, using the ear, better to be on the receiving end than on the giving end. Because if you feel like I'm always the giver, then I'm not learning. I'm not getting advice. I think that I'm always right. So 1 second. You listen to listen to advice. And I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. It's an unbelievable thing I never forget. When me and my wife were living in Israel, we were going to, I mentioned it, that one of the best decisions I ever made in my life was being a part of this organization called Ner Le'elef, a candle for 1,000, where in addition to our regular Kollel schedule, we had 7 hours a week for 2 years of, call it rabbi training, and it was public speaking, how to give eulogies, and all these type of things, how to deal with the board, all this interesting, very, very interesting stuff. But you have to get accepted. You have to get accepted on it. Not every couple that went through it, and also you have to commit that you're going to become a rabbi. That you're going to, anyway. So in the meeting process, kind of like Bedin, me and my wife, we have first a meeting with one rabbi, then we go into another room and a meeting with 2 rabbis, and then, like the most pressure, we walk into a room and there are 5 rabbis sitting and asking us questions, basically to see if you really think that you are qualified to be a rabbi that could be a ner le'elef, that could be a light to 1,000, that could give and teach and etc. So one of the questions one of the rabbis asked was, he said, what's the best leadership trait that you think? So I forgot what I answered, but what I answered was wrong. Whatever I said was not the answer he was looking for. And he said the best leadership trait, as Shlomo Hamalch says, is being a lev shomea, someone that listens. So I remember he went like this. He said, this is the main thing, not this. This is the main thing, right? So that's just being a heart that listens. So I never forgot that, because whenever you make a mistake with something, you never forget it, and you never I had to make a mistake, but I didn't get it right, and the way he made that gesture like that, and then he went, So that was so that's what it's saying over here. We have to be a Talmid Chacham. We have to be on the listening end, and that's Shomea Etzah, as the Pasuk says, V'Shomea La Chacham. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashya Omer Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael leficha chi ba'alem Torah mitzvot shneimar Adonai Hafetz leman tzidko yagdil Torah ve'yadir.